Hello. Welcome back to the Arsenal podcast right here in my MJ Lee channel. Again, there's a lot to talk about today, not just the game, but also other things as well. And how am I feeling today? Not feeling well, to be honest. Is pretty much 8 hours after the game just ended against Brentford. We drew 1-1, obviously. Not the best game. Not the best game in the world. At the same time, not the worst performance. I can say that. But there's so much sick behind that game, to be honest. And we'll go over that later on in this video or in this podcast. But the first thing I do want to talk about is I have a brand new channel now. It's called MJ Gooner Podcast. I almost messed up the name there, but yeah, the new podcast is called MJ Gooner Podcast, which is pretty much a channel that is going to be dedicated to specifically Arsenal content. Again, it's a podcast channel, nothing related to gaming or whatsoever, but simply about Arsenal. Again, I'm a huge Arsenal fan. I have been, an Arsenal fan since 2004, 2005. I was 5 to 6 year old back then. Don't know much. Remember the memories back then. I was really young. Maybe the first memory that I have was pretty much the last game in the Highbury, I believe so. Playing against Wigan, 4-2 was the final score. I remember that, and of course the very iconic goal, iconic photo of Thierry Henry kissing the ground after scoring a penalty, if I remember correctly. But yes, I'm a very dedicated Arsenal fan. I love talking about Arsenal, or just I love football in general. I even play it on my own time sometimes. But again, Arsenal, it's pretty much my blood, to be honest, guys. So, the fact that right now I have a great opportunity to actually branch off that part of my interest, my hobby, my passion into something where I think I can share with you all. I know in where I'm locating, Canada, Vancouver, I know there are not many Arsenal fans out there, or not many people have the Premier League knowledge or Premier League experience before. I know the majority of the fans here in Vancouver, or sports fans, are ice hockey or American football, basketball, or they call it soccer. But Premier League wasn't something that has always been discussed before. And at the same time, I feel like the people that I met here, who are football fans, the majority of them are pretty much from all over the world, from the UK, from India, from Hong Kong, China, from Europe, everywhere else. They will talk about Arsenal, but for local Canadians, I think that's a problem right there. It's just that we don't quite have the population to simply talk about your favorite team. And I know there's a Vancouver Arsenal here in Vancouver. I know they're doing kind of like a pub thing every game day. Depends on the time, of course, in downtown Granville. It's called Cinema Pub. And I never go because, again, I love watching the game by myself, or with my family. That's what I've been doing throughout my whole life. It's every time when I watch an Arsenal game, it has to be by myself, because there's so much emotion, there's so much there's so much going on in my head. There's no way I can watch the game without having another person there. I don't mind having one or two friends, but not in a pub setting. So that's pretty much why I want to make this channel. But of course, this is more of an introductory part of the channel. But again, I'll be posting another introductory podcast in the MJ Gooner Pod. Again, that That link will be linked down below in the comment section in the description. You guys can, of course, if you guys are an Arsenal fan, perfect. Let's follow each other. Let's subscribe to each other, and let's simply talk about Arsenal because again, this season has been a very unique one. Every Arsenal fan can probably agree with that. I don't think for Arsenal we have that much of a success in the last 10 20 years. The last time we were close to talk about title race was back in 2015 2016. That was a monstrous season for Mesut Ozil. He was on track. Breaking records for the most assists, but unfortunately second part of the season where we just kind of collapsed because Giroud couldn't score a single damn goal. And again, I felt like that season was the closest to winning the title. But then fast forward to 8 years later, and right now we are in the same situation where we are pretty much we are the favorites. We have the chance. I'm not saying that we are 100% going to win the league, but we certainly have the capacity, certainly have the desire and ability to win the league. But then, of course, the problem kind of rises after what happened today, which I will go over later. But again, the new channel, the new podcast will be hopefully will be on pretty much every platform. Of course, the main one has to be Spotify. My goal is pretty much make myself well known in the Arsenal community, or even in Canadian community, just Premier League community here in Vancouver, or even in Canada. You know what? Just I love to strike a conversation about football because I have been again the biggest fan in the world for the past almost 20 years, and I would love to just talk about it because I know there are definitely a lot of fans out there in this world loves to have a genuine, toxic-free conversation about the football club that you support. So that's pretty much the first thing I want to talk about. That it's pretty much a new channel coming up. It will not be happening today, but the first upload will be on Wednesday, which is after the Man City game, and that game is going to be a very important one. Again, I'll go over that later, but that will be the first ever episode in the MJ Gooden podcast, and my schedule is going to be like, okay, there'll be one, hopefully, what I'm trying to do is, again, every week, hopefully there's one video coming out or one podcast coming out. If not, once every 2 weeks. And you know what, if I'm feeling like it, if I have the time, I will try to do 2 episodes a week where I'm going to talk about the midweek. I know right now the whole transfer window has closed already, so pretty much there's nothing much to talk about, but there's certainly other gibberish that we can pretty much talk about. And of course, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Monday game after the Premier League, I think that is going to be a big one. So what I'm trying to do here is post-match review. It's going to be, more than 30 minutes long. I try to keep it more than 30 minutes long. And for the midweek, that tiny little video could be 10 to 15 minutes long. Again, a shorter one. Again, it's just something that I'm trying to work on. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Okay, let's talk about the game. Let's talk about the build up to the game. We all know that before today's game, we are 5 points clear. We have the same games that we played with Man City with 21 games already. And of course, the big upset last week was losing to Everton 1-0. But I know that was already we felt pretty down after that game because Everton away, Goodison Park, it's a very tough ground to beat. Sean Dyche just came over and took charge of Everton again. There's some sort of a magical moment for a team who just hired a manager, same as Leeds United, which we'll go over that later. But again, what makes last week felt a little bit better is because we know that Chelsea dropped points. City lost to Spurs. That was a big one as well. And of course, in the midweek, I think Newcastle dropped points as well. Midweek, United dropped points. So pretty much all the top six teams, the big teams have dropped points, and even Liverpool losing to Wolves 3-0. That was a that was a surprise for me. I didn't know they were going to be way underperform. And I don't know what's going on within the Liverpool organization, which is, again, not going to go into that. But let's talk about the general. Let's talk about the general perspective of what happened. Okay, so pretty much everybody dropped points except Spurs, which is fine because we're currently 11, 12, 13 points ahead of Spurs. They're not a concern at the moment because we know that their form kind of fluctuates here and there, and right now they're kind of in a very bad slump, having on Antonio Conte being rested after surgery, after some sort of abdominal pain. But they beat Spurs. I mean, they beat Man City. That's a great job, to be honest. That helped us a lot because with the form that City or Spurs are in, you wouldn't expect Spurs to win it. And of course, it already happened before where Spurs was winning 2-0. Later on, Man City scored 4 goals. And we all know that Spurs might not be capable of playing a game like that, but playing at the Tottenham Spurs Stadium, it's not for everybody. And Man City lost that game 1-0. A very mediocre game by Man City, and that was an escape for Arsenal because I felt like if City has won that game, I'm sure they might be 2 points ahead. 2 points behind, and we have a game to play in hand. But you know what? It gives us some sort of a second chance to play, or a second chance to redeem ourselves. And here comes Brentford away, Brentford at home, at the Emirates. And of course, we know Thomas Frank, a brilliant manager. They have a brilliant team as well, playing 3-5-2. The way how they play was so, just so solid. I just saw how they play. It's just that very, very straightforward, but it works every time. Ivan Toney was immense for Brentford, and again, the whole story of how Brentford does their recruitment throughout the years have been very clever, following the concept of money ball, which is a baseball term, by pretty much valuing undervalued players and use those players to generate profit, to generate talent and stuff like that. And that's what Brentford is doing. Financially, they have been in a very good shape as well. The players that they acquired was pretty much undervalued elsewhere, but within the eyes of the Brentford board, it's completely different. Of course, they saw talents on them. Rico Henry as one of them as well. Who else? Ivan Toney. Again, nobody knows who they are before they got promoted to the Premier League. And last season, they did very well. And this season, they are doing very well as well. They beat every top 6 teams, or caused an upset against top 6 teams against Arsenal prior to today's game. And I thought, okay, the last 9 games that Brentford play, they managed to not to lose a single game, which is fantastic, to be honest. Winning 5 and drawing 4. And Thomas Frank, underrated manager. I'm sure, again, there's a whole conversation of Thomas Frank and also Potter as well, Graham Potter. Both of them are a brilliant manager, managing a mid team. But again, with the recruitment that Brentford has already had within the system, works for Thomas Frank. But for Graham Potter, it's completely different because the players that he started to get to know early August or early September, it's just a different type of squad. And whatever Todd Boehly pouring the money in was something was something that I don't think Graham Potter was capable of doing. He's a great manager, but I don't think this team is his team. I don't think he's capable of managing this team to a top level. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Graham Potter is going to last throughout the whole season. But let's not talk about Chelsea because they have their own problem to be discussed. But for us, Arsenal, we might be in a turmoil right now. Again, starting 11, I felt like we could have probably make a couple of changes. Tomiyasu coming in for Ben White, and also Trossard coming in for Martinelli. I think Ben White for the past 3-4 games, I think since being terrorized by Rashford in the United game, since then, I think Ben White's form has been dropped significantly, right? And today I think he did well, but at the same time, before today's game, I thought, why not give Tomiyasu a chance? I don't think Tomiyasu has started a game since the Liverpool 3-2 win in the early October, which is 4 months ago. And I thought, Ben White might be dropping this game, but he did not. But Martinelli's going to be a big one, a big conversation for him, a big topic for him. The fact that is he still, what happened to him? Again, I don't want to blame the contract. Again, he recently signed a 4.5-year contract with the third extension of 2 years, which is great. I felt like he has a great future for Arsenal, but at the same time, right now he is 21, 22-year-old, again, still very, very young, very, very raw. He has the talent in him. Everybody sees him. When he first joined Arsenal, nobody knew who he was. A kid signing from Brazil, $6 million, and everybody just instantly fell in love with him. He scored quite a lot of goals in the Europa League, and again, scored a couple of goals in the Premier League. Actually, more than a couple of goals, but the memorable one has to be the goal against. What was that game? Chelsea. It was great. I remember that game. It was pretty much right before the pandemic, so that was a great moment. But after that, Martinelli again have a season-ending injury on his knee, and later on for the second season, I think he was trying to get his form back, and I felt like we were scared that because he is not one of Arteta's signing, we thought, he might be gone by the end of the season. But turns out in the third season, he waited until Smith Rowe picked up an injury or kind of not in form. And guess what? I think Martinelli since then has been amazing. But even for earlier on this season, I think Martinelli has been great, has been fantastic, especially the game against Liverpool. Alexander-Arnold literally were nowhere close marking him. But right now, we get to see the dipping form of Martinelli. And should everybody be scared about that? I think, of course, we have to be scared because he has been phenomenal throughout the first half of the season. And all of a sudden, after scoring the last goal in 2022 against Brighton, he just couldn't really reproduce the productivity that he had been doing throughout the whole season. And right now, thank God we signed Leandro Trossard, because without him, I think it would be a very tough situation for Arsenal. But Martinelli, I don't want to say that I will be worried for him, but at the same time, the reason why we shouldn't be worried at the same time is because I believe Martinelli is still young. I know he played a lot of games in the first half of the season. We barely have any wingers in the first half. We have Reece Nelson, and then he picked up a big injury. And since then, we don't really have that capability on the left-hand side. And at the same time, I saw tweets around Twitter saying the left side has been the main concern. But at the same time, left side can be a main concern, yes, because we kind of pour all the firepower on the right hand side, which is where we concentrated the majority of our attack. And there is also a conversation. There's also a topic about the chemistry between Martinelli and Gabriel Jesus. Those two work very well when they're playing together. But right now, Martinelli and Nketiah, it just seems like there's something missing there. Is it true? I think that's true because, again, I think right now Martinelli has played with Nketiah for pretty much right about 5 games already, and every time when I watch them play, there's not much chemistry, there's not much spark behind those two. And again, it was fine because we're still capable in scoring on the right side, and that was fine, to be honest. And think about it, the majority of the goals that we score after Jesus' injury, the majority of them are kind of on the right hand side, right? Odegaard contributing from the right hand side to the middle. Again, everything just kind of started on the right hand side. And even though we score goals from the left hand side, again, it was when Martinelli has been taken off. For example, the United game, and Martinelli's form has been dropping, and we should be worried at the same time. But at the same time, we shouldn't be worried. It's because he's young, we have a good backup, and that's it. And in terms of how I see about the next game, I think the right choice would be dropping Martinelli. Right, dropping Martinelli for Trossard. He will score a goal, wonderful goal, which I'll go over that later. But that's about it. The first starting 11 has been the same compared to the Everton one, and we thought, okay, we were a little bit worried with the forms of some of the players, but today was fine. But the first 45 minutes has been quite of a nightmare, to be honest. It felt like we weren't up to our game. Usually the first 5-10 minutes we were the brightest one. We were, the best. We could be the best team in the world for the first 10-20 minutes, but we just didn't really have that spark. And David Raya barely have any save in the first half, and the closest one was probably the one where I believe Odegaard slipped in, or was it Odegaard? But there's one play where Saka drive down on the right hand side to the middle, but I think Rico Henry clipped him a little bit. But if he gone down earlier, I felt like it would have been a penalty. But in the end, Saka decided to go for it, but straight at David Raya. But the way how Brentford has been utilizing their talent, their wings, their formation has been very well. They play 2 up front. Every time when there's a long ball, that's something that we're not very good at. And today, aerial defense, aerial duels, we have been losing pretty much everything in the air to Ivan Toney. Slips it to Mbeumo. There's one goal that Mbeumo scored. I felt like that would have been stood. I think that was a very soft foul from Ivan Toney. I don't think it was a foul at all, but it was just, again, bad refereeing. And we thought, okay, you know what? Brentford had a chance, and it was close. And that's how they're going to play. What they're going to do is they're going to win the first ball. And every time when they win the first ball in the air, then that's where the whole, the rest of the attack for Brentford start to come. And Mbeumo has been fantastic. That's how they play, and it worked out every time for them. And there's particularly one play where it was Ivan Toney on the right hand side, crosses in the middle to Rico Henry, who unfortunately did not make contact with the ball. Fortunate for Arsenal fans, because we have been pretty much very, very mediocre, and we were very exposed at times. And which is something that is very worrying. And in the second half, we felt like, we got to go again. Like, there's no way we're backing down in the moment. The fact that we have to win this game, right? If we win this game, we go 8 points clear because of what what happened to Man City over the last weekend. We felt like this is a big pressure, because if we win this, we go 8 points clear. And even though if we go 8 points clear and losing to Man City in the week, in the weekdays, it's fine, because it will still be a 5 points gap, and we can still manage to keep going after that result. But again, it's a big statement on Wednesday. But this game is kind of like a build up to it. a lot of pressure because how the environment had set up for Arsenal and what's the storyline, what's the agenda behind it, and yeah, in second half I felt like, you know what, I don't care how scrappy of a win we get, as long as a win, as long as a 3 points, that's all that matters. I don't care if Brentford has been going it at us, have more possession than Arsenal. As long as we got that one goal, we defend, we win 1-0, go home, and we prep for the next one. And then there's one controversial, there is, and then all of a sudden, there's nothing much we can talk about because barely anything happened, right? So, and then 68th minute, we finally got the chance. Trossard coming on. I think, again, like, there's always one player on the bench that you would put on every time. It has to be Trossard at this moment. Martinelli simply not at it. He knew it. He wasn't even disappointed. He just has to come out, and we just need a fresh face on the left hand side. And Trossard is right there, and we score that goal, a beautiful goal, a beautiful pass from Odegaard to Saka. What a great cross, and what a great finish as well. I know it's a simple tapped in. It was kind of an open goal, but when you look at the replay once again, it's very interesting because the ball kind of bounces. It bounces very awkwardly for Trossard, and is on his weaker foot as well. And all he has to do is to pretty much tap it in. But when you try to tap it in that distance with that bounce, there's certain technique, because if you got it wrong, you're wrong, right? So Trossard, again, very clever finish, just anticipated where the ball's going to bounce and just kind of slips that one in. And 1-0, and we scored the first goal. I was really, really happy because, again, Brentford has been playing amazing football throughout the whole game, very defensively. They put in pretty much everybody in the box at the moment. I felt like the way how we attack, there's nothing, because we keep passing around the box, but every time we cross in the middle, there's nothing. There's literally nothing. And it gave me the same feeling compared to last season, or a few seasons ago, where even we don't have a target man, right? We don't have a target man. We don't even have a good player, a good attacking player who's good in the air. Arguably could be Nketiah, but again, Nketiah, when you have Nketiah against Ethan Pinnock, who was playing at the back, Ben Mee as well, like, you can't compare. You just can't compete with those guys in the air. And even though that's what Arsenal was trying to do, that's what Arteta has been trying to do, it's the fact that we're just waiting until that little through ball. That's what Odegaard did. That little through ball to Saka, or that little through ball to Trossard, crosses in the middle, a low cross. There's no way. Honestly, there's no chance for any ball in the air. And just simply, just that simplicity allow us to score the first goal. But throughout the first half, we've been trying to work on that. But you know what? One switch off from Rico Henry, and we just scored from that one. I thought, okay, we scored the first goal, 22 minutes left. Okay, we just have to go defensive mode. There is no point. There's no way we are going to go for the second goal. The way how Brentford's playing, there's no way we're going to do that. And you have to distinguish between teams where, okay, we scored the first goal in the first half and trying to kill the game in the second half with another 2 goals, right? That's what we've been trying to do. And that's for other teams as well. And for Brentford, it's completely different. We score our first goal in the second half, and given the context of the game, it's very hard to go for a second goal. Why not just stay back and defend? And after we scored the first goal, well, that's fine. And guess what? 5-6 minutes later, I just kind of saw it coming. I felt like for set pieces, it's kind of all over the place at the moment. We conceded a set piece goal last time, and I felt like there's a bit of trauma building up in my head. But the way how we dealt with the ball inside the box was kind of worrying, to be honest. I felt like we couldn't hit the ball out, that's fine, but every time we hit the ball, it's always lands right back at where we are or in the same area. He couldn't really clear the ball to on the outside, right? We just couldn't do that. But there are two very controversial VAR offside call that which we still need explanation, right? The goal, first of all, the cross from Jensen, I believe so. I don't think it's Jensen. I think it's somebody else. To far post to Ethan Pinnock. That one was, again, I think that would be an interfere play. That would be an interference. But if you were looking into that, that looks like an offside. I believe his shoulder's a little bit ahead of Thomas Partey or Gabriel. And, the ball bounces right back in the middle. Again, Saliba got it, but, not far enough. And we just kind of clear it within our own box. And out of nowhere, I believe Jensen got the ball. Nordgaard got the ball. And the Ramsdale one. Okay, let me know down in the comment section. Do you think Ramsdale in that particular moment should have done better in that situation? Because honestly, I felt like he could have done better. The way how he came out from his box, I don't think there was any need to come out from that box. It's because you all know that Jensen or Nordgaard is not going to score from that range, right? Even though he's not going to score, I'm sure Saliba or any of the defenders would probably come back and probably block the shot. But we didn't. But the way how Ramsdale opened his body, again, in that situation, you open the body. He tried to go for the ball again, but the way how his hand positioned still bugged me a little bit, because he's actually trying to, both of his arms are pretty much right above his head and trying to clamp down the ball if possible, instead of stretching your arms in a 45 degree. He just kind of put it on top of his head, and that bugs me a little bit, because I felt like first of all, decision making could be, from my judgment, it's quite poor. Second of all, the way how he trying to block the shot or trying to slam the ball down was very concerning. I don't know if you guys agree with me, but that's how I see it. And Ivan Toney, who else? Right there at the right time, taps it in. We already know that Ivan Toney is going to do big damage already. He already had a few chances already in the first half where he hits the bar, empty net, open net, and again, the whole Arsenal defense and also the midfield area has been quite lacking, to be honest. I don't think anybody in the midfield or defensively were particularly good. Arguably can say Gabriel did quite a good job, and Zinchenko weren't performing as well as we thought it was going to be, and the goal. Okay, the VAR call, right? So they were checking Ethan Pinnock on the first part of the play. The cross from the free kick looks like an offside. Okay, fine, borderline. I'll give that borderline, but the Nordgaard or the Jansen one, the assist, that one's a very close call. But I keep looking on social media, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, analyzing the game. It looks like that was an offside, and the fact that VAR didn't look at that one was quite controversial, was kind of criminal in a way. And even Arteta in the post-match conference did admit that should have been a penalty, and everybody thought it was a penalty. And even though they didn't quite show what happened in the second part of the play or the assist to Ivan Toney, I felt like based on my eyes, I thought that was going to be an offside. But again, it didn't. At the same time, for me, I know I have been endured with the whole VAR situation for so long, and I always say the same thing. I don't want to, sometimes I don't want to rely on VAR to win a game. I feel like, in order to in order to get rid of the whole VAR call, it's the fact that we have to go to every game and win comfortably, win convincingly. Not games like this. So I wouldn't necessarily always blame the VAR, and I'm not even mad at VAR. I think I'm just mad at the way how we defended that set piece, because we have been doing so well throughout the whole season, and for the last 2 games we conceded goals from that area, from that situation. That still bugs me. And we still have 17 more minutes to play. Obviously Brentford is happy to take the draw before us. We're looking to win. Fabio Vieira came on, did nothing special, to be honest. We thought he could change the game, playing as a number 8, but again, not a very good cross in the end. I felt like in that situation, the last part of the game, where it kind of gave me the memory of Fabio Vieira crosses to Moaneni in the Oxford game, and I thought, okay, it has to be a good delivery, but turns out it was straight at David Raya. And that's how we ended the game right there. 1-1 felt like a defeat, because again, the reason why we felt like, or I felt like it's a defeat, is because there's so much stake going on around this game. We try so hard, we work so hard to get that one goal, and it's a special moment for Trossard as well. And I thought, you know what, it could have been a very special moment for Trossard and for the team as well. Signing a new player, setting a statement, saying out there that, you know what, if we didn't get Mudryk, that's fine. We have Trossard, who's also capable in the Premier League, and that's exactly what he did. Correct. And again, it would have been a very special statement, because before we might not have the capability, we don't have the depth for the squad, but right now that's exactly a game changer right there. Trossard, it's the game changer, was the game changer in that game. So and that was a game changer. But again, just wasn't good enough to win the game, and that's fine, right? The whole Europa League thing, we can scrap that. It doesn't matter, because even if we win it, we'll be in the Champions League. But right now, based on how we are, we are still favorites at top 4. But the fact that we have the chance to win the Premier League this season, why not just take the chance? Chelsea slipping up, Liverpool slipping, Manchester United and City are slipping as well. Spurs are certainly not doing very well at the moment, and you thought we have to win this league. And I'm sure out there in Twitter, United fans, City fans, Liverpool fans, Chelsea fans, I know they hate seeing Arsenal to win to win the league, because we have been in the banter era for the past 20 years. But of course, like they said, I'm sure the majority of them say the same thing. We have to win the league this year, right? We have to win the league. It gives us pretty much all the possible solutions, possible scenario for us to win the game. Top 6 drop points, and we still drop points, right? And today we drop points. And that bugs me. That bugs me a lot. And the next game, it's against City. That's a big one. And I don't even know. I don't even have the confidence. I don't even have the words to think about that game. How that game's going to be. We haven't won a game for the past 3 weeks, right? And that was very concerning, because I felt like that moment of not winning a single football game for the past 3 weeks gave me some sort of bad memory from last season, where we lost 2-3 match day in a row. Considerably, the worst one was 2 years ago, where we just keep on losing in October, November, December. It kind of gave me that moment where, we go into the game, we don't know if we're going to put up a good performance, we're going to win or lose. And especially next game against Man City, that's a big one, because Man City is playing Aston Villa tomorrow morning at home, which we all know that they're going to win they're going to win it. There's no way Aston Villa is not going. There's no way that Man City is not going to win it. And after Man City wins it, we still have a game in hand. But we'll be 3 points away from Man City. And after Man City win or beat Aston Villa 3 points apart, and if they beat Arsenal, knock on wood, I really hope that's not going to happen. But if they beat Arsenal, the title race is again very slim for us, because I know this team. I know this Arsenal. Not just this squad, but just Arsenal in general. We are very young. We are still inexperienced in terms of how we want to face the title. And there were numerous occasions where we were favorites to win the Premier League, and we just slipped in February. Every time it's February, we slipped up, right? I remember 2007, 2008 when Eduardo, playing for Arsenal, broke his leg in February against Birmingham, and we were favorites to win the league back then. And all of a sudden, after his injury, we went back down. Same as 2015, 2016, just a poor runs of result after the Leicester game, 2-1, thanks to Danny Welbeck, last minute header. Since then, after that, we play against United, boom, we dropped all the way down once again. So it's February. I don't know if it's going to repeat, the same trend. Yesterday was my birthday. All I was hoping is that Arsenal's going to win the league, or Arsenal going to win the next game. You know what? That's what my wish was, but I don't know if I'm going to get my wish come true at the moment. So it's quite concerning. I'm not feeling happy about it, to be honest. But you know what? This is football. It's part of it, but it's going to be a pain in the ass. So I wonder how I am going to be after the Wednesday game, because that day on the 15th, it's a big day for me. I know games starting at 11:30. I got work after work. I'm celebrating my Valentine's Day night, belated Valentine's Day night with my girlfriend. And you know what? If Arsenal win that, I would have a great mood for the rest of the evening. If not, that would be a problem, because I would not be enjoying my work, nor I'll be enjoying my dinner with my girlfriend. So everybody, all the Arsenal fans in this world, except, United fan, blah, 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 other fans, let's cross our fingers and hope that we're going to win the game against City. I know it's not going to be easy, unfortunately, but, City is not in a particularly good form. We're not in a particularly good form. So Arsenal has to answer themselves. They have to answer all the critics. They have to answer all the critics in this world saying Arsenal's going to bottle the league, but because I felt like there's still a part of me think that Arsenal might be bottling the league, because it's Arsenal. I love them to death. I know how my team is going to be. I know how my team will react. So let's hope that we're going to win the league. Gabriel Jesus, by the way, is coming back in March. I think he went to London Colony the other day for training. Hopefully by the end of February, early March, we get to see him, because I felt like today, if we have Gabriel Jesus on the pitch today, it would have been a much easier job than what Eddie Nketiah has done for us in today's game. Again, no diss to Eddie Nketiah, but I felt like Jesus would be a perfect player to play in that game. So thank you guys for listening. Hope you guys enjoy this podcast, and I'll see you guys in the next one. The next one would be, again, on the new channel. I will post the link down in the comment section. Be sure to subscribe to that channel right now, and subscribe to that channel after I post my first video. So thank you guys for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Have a great day, everyone, and I'll see you guys in the next one.